Okay. I call the December 16th, 2025 regular board meeting. Park District.
Right, 7 o'clock. Commissioner Kobe,
Here.
Commissioner Reifman. Guzman's absent. Commissioner Hazen
Here.
and Commissioner Cummins.
Nice. Consent agenda items A through H are. Does any commissioner want, well, first, does any commissioner want anything pulled from the consent agenda items? No. I entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second. President Kobe,
Yes.
Commissioner Reifman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins.
We do not have. That's any. So. Available to the board.
Thank you, President Covey, and good evening, everyone. So just a high level summary on really all the departments for this month. We look at the rec programming, we see it's up about 18%. Net margin is around the mid 40% range, which is pretty consistent with prior year. I will just point out that the December registration numbers are not included in the numbers that you see tonight. But we are very pleased with the results of that registration. They will be reflected in next month's financial report. And just a reminder that these numbers are reported on the cash basis. We don't really adjust deferred revenue or anything like that for the monthly financials. That's done only as part of our year-end close process. As far as Children's Circle, revenue is up about 16% compared to the prior year. Salaries and wages also are higher, which obviously reflects improved staffing levels and reduced turnover, particularly with our full-time teacher positions. Fitness, we've talked about in previous months, a large increase driven a lot by the district's partnership with the gym guys. Beach, we're going to continue to see those expenses trickle in over the remainder of the fiscal year. And at this point, we are still anticipating to be right near break even for the end of the fiscal year for the beach. Weinberg is where we've had the most activity going on right now. So pass sales are looking, again, this is through November 30, looking like they're in line with prior year to date. Ice rental revenue is showing a slight year-over-year increase. Utilities are modestly higher, and that's largely due to timing of rink operations. Ice making supplies are also up about $10,000 compared to last year. And then we had an equipment purchase of around $17,000. And that was for screen and valve replacements. And we did actually have a similar valve replacement in the prior year. It was just that expense was incurred a little later. So we'll see that catch up around the February timeframe. G&A expenses are primarily flat. There were increases, but offset with the one-time comp plan fees that were recognized in the prior fiscal year. As far as the Parks Department, we've talked about in the past, that's mainly the large expense related to the Shelton Path repaving project that's driving that. And RAC intake of admin, again, we still have not received the second installment. Once those numbers start to come in, we're going to be a lot closer in our year-over-year comparison. Property tax bills were due yesterday, so we're eagerly awaiting our first of many large distributions to come then within probably the next 30 to 45 days.
You received zero?
I'm sorry?
Zero? Nothing's come in yet?
Not for the 2025 levy, no.
But the bills went out, so we
Yeah.
anticipate that to start flowing.
Yeah.
I figured it was, I know it's late this year, but I didn't realize it start flowing in until after the election dates. The county gets to keep a little bit of interest for a while for those that may have paid it before the due date.
Correct.
Do we have an anticipated month? For
Yeah,
gift?
30 to 45 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should be
Okay.
I'm sure we'll get something pretty large by the end of this month, and then we'll probably get 3 or 4 large distributions in January, and that'll make up probably about 90% of it.
Okay.
Um,
Anything else, Shaggy?
No, I'm
Okay.
disappointed by that.
Okay.
Quick question on I see the houses are being
Nothing to
built
do with you guys.
in the, whatever neighborhood that's called,
Forest Edge.
is it called
Forest Edge.
Forest Edge.
Turn on your microphone.
Oh.
Thank you.
I see the houses are starting to be built there. Does that have an impact on our taxes for 2025, or is that just not going to impact? until next
Probably
year?
won't because I think I saw one structure that had actual siding and everything. I don't think they're being lived in yet.
Yeah,
until
they're not.
occupied. So 2026 is when we're gonna certainly want to plan for capturing that
Yep.
new growth. But regardless, we did bake in just a little bit because, we had to put that number in sooner and we weren't sure exactly where that would be. So I work with Nikki at the village and make sure that we have a pretty good understanding of where that's going to be and make sure we're capturing that growth.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, well, thank you for that report. Looking forward to the taxes rolling in. Perfect. Now I'm really excited because we are going to have a presentation on the Kids Club and School Day Off programs from Emily Holmberg and Assistant Director Adam Wohl. Look at all of those smiling faces. Sarah looks very happy in the front row. I don't know who Sarah is, but she's the only one that's named.
You got Olivia right front and center. She smiles
Okay.
a lot. My name's Emily Holmberg. I'm the program manager for Camps Art and Kids Club. This is Adam.
Me, Adam. I'm here more as support.
In case I get a zinger, he's here. Just kidding. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about kids clubs, schools days off, and also the trends and opportunities that we find with those programs. Before we start, because I'm newer to the district, I got here in July, just a brief background about me to understand how I manage things and everything like that. So I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and then when I turned 30, I decided to get an MPA, so that was fun from FGCU. I did 10 years with the Rolling Meadows Park District, 5 part-time, 5 full-time. My first full-time job there was actually the same title Lisa had, only a few years before me.
Thank you.
And then I moved to Florida briefly for 7 years. I did 3 years in outdoor recreation at a water park in Bonita Springs, and then 4 years with the city of Cape Coral. My background is youth trips, teens, aquatics, hospitality, as well as special events and emergency management. It's a wide array. So a little bit about Kids Club. That's our before and after school program for District 35. We follow their calendar. So whenever they're in school, we are also in school, as well as when there's an early dismissal, Kids Club also picks up during that. We have AM and PM care, and we're located at the Weinberg Family Recreation Center. And the first floor is our kindergartners, and our second floor is 1st through 6th grade, although we do not have any 6th graders currently. Our staff, we have 22 staff, 1 coordinator, 1 shuttle driver, 19 high school and college age staff, as well as 2 lead counselors, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs. In our AM Kids Club program, it's from 7 in the morning till 8:45 in the morning. And at the end of the program, we do transport them to school. Usually it's a little less structural in the morning. Most of the kids are just trying to wake up. So we do unstructured play, and then we give them a snack before we send them off to school. Our numbers with Kids Club in the morning is very consistent. It's a smaller niche group that needs morning care, but it's enough that, we want to provide that service. This year we do have 23, but as you can see in the past, it's very consistent in the upper teens. PM Kids Club Care is a lot larger. We have 95 unique enrollments. And in the past, last year it was consistent, and then it grew significantly in 2023. Kids Club PM Care is from 3 to 6:30 p.m. The day starts at 3 o'clock. They'll walk over to South School and pick up the kids from South School, as well as a bus shuttle will go pick up at West and Central Schools. We'll do snack, we'll do unstructured play, we'll be structured play, group games, and special activities. And then we end with free play. Kids Club enrollment has gone up significantly in the last 4 years, with about a 40 child gain from 2022. With the increased enrollment, we also have increased revenue with Kids Club. With Kids Club, we do have a 70% cost recovery with PM care and then 60% with AM care. With those numbers being healthy, we do not want to increase the fees coming into the next year. And the more days that the kids are enrolled, the cheaper and affordable it is for the parents. Trying to incentivize more 5 days, yes.
You know what's driving the increase? Like, is it new families or is it families that were there, have always been here, but because of COVID, they did in and out
Yeah.
and came back?
Yeah.
I would say that's what, do you have an answer
I
to
had
that?
an influx.
Yeah, oh no, your computer wants to restart.
Mhm.
I'm do it later. It means you got an hour after that. In the next couple slides, I'll touch on that, but it is after COVID, a lot of dual income families moved to Glencoe, and that's where we saw the increase of school age children. With the, this is just more of a look of daily, how many kids we have in the room at a time. Friday, a lot of the parents work from home or it's less enrollment because they have enrichments. But on average, it's, upper 80s and lower 80s in PM care.
Are you
That's
Are
Jonah.
you turning people away?
Say that again?
Turning people away?
We are not. At the beginning of the school year, we hired enough staff in case we were gonna see 100 in a day. So we still have a little bit of leeway before we turn away.
Good.
And then this is what the age range for the grades. Kindergarten, first, second, and third is our majority, with a little bit of fourth and one fifth grader, but no sixth graders as well. A little bit more about our shuttle service. So we have the 14-passenger Hillary van that we utilize. It's mostly used for the west and central school kids, getting them to and from school. There is a total of 18 of them. So with the bus being 14-passenger, we either do 2 trips where we pay a staff member to stay at West School to then go back and grab the rest of the kids. Sometimes we'll utilize the passenger van as well. The only downside with using the van at the same time is they have to be 8 years old or older, or else we have to get the proper car seat and buckles for them. So we try not to transport any kids in the minivan as much as we can. The shuttle basically runs nonstop from 3 to 5 p.m. It's run by Keith, sometimes filled in by Camden, but it's bringing the kids from South School to Takeif, then to West Central to Takeif to Weinberg, back and forth, as you can imagine. There's a lot of writing on the paper as he goes on throughout the day of who he's picking up. And usually where you see a pickup, there's also a drop off at that same location at the same time. We use 3 different applications in Kids Club. So with this, they're all computer friendly, but mostly app friendly, which is nice and easy for parents. The first one is Bright Wheel. We check in the kids each day using the Bright Wheel, and then the parents will scan a QR code and check them out. This is beneficial in many ways. It also helps us see when kids are actually being put in and out of Kids Club to see what hours are actually being utilized in the program. The next one is ePact. We use this for camp as well. ePact is where we store medical paperwork, how to administer medicine. We have paper copies, of course, of everything, but this way, if you quickly needed to call a parent, you type their name into the app. You're not flipping through 100 pieces of paper trying to get the correct emergency paperwork. And then the last one is our HID mobile credentials. The mobile portion is new. Formerly, they would get a key card, kind of like a hotel key that would swipe them in and out of Kids Club. The trouble with that is a lot of people would share their key cards. So instead of the key card belonging to me, it would be passed to grandma, the neighbor, who's ever picking up the kid. And it was, unsafe. You can't always track who's the actual person utilizing the door, as well as people would lose the key. So we were issuing a lot of plastic as well. This is an example of the mobile ID. So that's actually mine. I'm number 164. So when you take your phone, you go up to the door, it'll scan you in. We can cut off access and give access very easily. That's also good for safety as well. And when I scan into a door on the back end, it logs that it was me and my name. So if we ever needed to know who opens a door, it tracks that as well. The benefits of Kids Club is you get priority registration in our school day off program. That program, to your question, we have turned away some school days off with wait lists just from how large it is. So being a priority registration is a good benefit. You also get priority registration for the new school year. So the current Kids Club participants get to register for 2026-27 school year coming this February. We host undernighters. They're usually monthly unless there's a lot of school days off and we can't balance a good schedule. So an undernighter is where the children can stay on a Friday night till 8:30 p.m. We get them dinner. It's usually Lou Malnati's pizza because that's what they all vote for. We do a movie. We're going skating this Friday for the undernighter. So we really try to make it special. And then it also allows parents to go out on a date night or grocery shop. Whatever you want to do at night. And then you can also participate in the extended hours of the school days off. We don't have morning and afternoon care for school days off. It's just for Kids Club participants. And then we do after school specials. So Carrie, we call it Cooking with Carrie. It's cooking light. We're using a microwave for most of it. We don't have an oven there, so we're not burning anything down, but we're doing s'mores in the microwave. We're doing Rice Krispie treats, things that are safe to use for kids. Our school day off program is a field trip focused trips when the school is off. And this is a current picture. We were at Climb Zone. This is from about 3 weeks ago. But we offer many different field trips throughout the school year that align with District 35 days off. We try not to repeat any of them in the same calendar school year because I'm sure as a parent, you don't want to get 3 Build-A-Bears in the same year. So we try to avoid that. This program's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then the before and after care is reserved for just Kids Club participants. And the staff is mostly our Kids Club staff, and we follow a 10-to-1 ratio. Unless we're going to a museum, we definitely have a lot more than 10-to-1. We want to make sure we have extra eyes. This is the really big sticking point of how many people are doing school day off field trips. In the last year, they're at 99. We have a wait list at 100, and it's significant. The only thing that I will point out is 2025 does have 10 more field trips than 2024-25. So there's a 10 field trip difference, but that's still a very high number of enrollment, and we still have spring break to go. So with the enrollment also goes with the revenue. And excuse me, the school day off program is a very healthy program. Most of our costs is at the field trip, which do get expensive and busing, but overall, it's a good, well-run
Sorry,
program.
can you go back?
Yeah.
Can you explain the increase in the field? Are there more days off of D35 this year? Is
Mhm.
that
That's
what's
what you said, there's 10.
Yeah, there's 10 more.
10 more days off?
Yeah.
I
That's a
mean,
lot of
I'm
days
trying to
off.
think of like my own kid's schedule. I know Thanksgiving has always been kind of a week off, but
Mhm.
like, where is that coming from?
With the Jewish holidays, when those fall on weekdays, certainly
That's
will add
two.
to more. They are also now transitioning with like parent-teacher conferences, taking those 2 days off.
Right, I mean, I'm looking at
The 2
Thanksgiving.
days in February or October, they took Columbus Day off this year. So
Wow.
it adds up.
They're like doing more groupings, like, I don't know if you notice, like, with the kids, so like, you get like, say like, one of the Jewish holidays off, then they'll maybe take that Thursday or Friday, so it does like an extended week.
Good heavens, our kids
Yeah.
are not in school enough.
They're probably in
Mhm.
later into
Take
June.
off
though.
random day in
That's my
April.
guess, because you have to have a certain number of days.
There's a lot of random days they take off.
Wow.
Good.
Next year's calendar is a little bit less. Well, the
Have you
preview
seen-
of it that we saw.
And with
Yeah.
regards to this, so as the revenue has increased, have the cost increased? I mean, is this
Mhm.
basically a variable model, or have you seen an increase in your fixed cost?
Yeah, the costs have gone up just with busing alone and then also field trips going from, $15 per kid up to $25 a kid at some places.
Field trip, the actual
Yeah.
cost of field trips significantly.
So-
Several years.
There's not a lot of fixed costs with these.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
no,
Yeah.
this is all like it's a,
Variable.
because they, the Camdens of the world and the, Carries of the world, they typically don't work from like 9 to 3, and so then they're offered a time from 9 to 3. Like it's almost all variable cost to the best of my knowledge.
With both programs, we have trends and opportunities. So the trends, this was a lot later in the slide than I thought, but the increase is due to dual income families moving here during the COVID times and an increase in demand for before and after care programs as well as school day off. Some opportunities that we're looking at. This is a very exploratory time, but we're looking at where you could look at the calendar of the month and pick how many days you need PM care, and then you would have a prorated billing based on that. That's something we're looking into, as well as increasing enrichment programs. So right now we bring in organizers from Broadway Bound to come do stuff at Kids Club. This way, even if the child's not joining an enrichment here at Take If or after school, they're also getting something special at Kids Club. We're also looking to eliminate the shuttle costs. So right now, if your child is a West or Central School participant, you pay $200 fee for the busing for the school year. And we're going to eliminate that for the next school year, just so that we're not price gouging. You know, the bus runs 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. We really don't want to kind of stick at home. We're going to eliminate that. And then we are aligning undernighters. That's the extended day with adult events and children's circles extended day. The first one that we're all three aligning is going to be in January. So hopefully this either gives adults an opportunity to go attend the adult only events, or just if you have a child in children's circle and kids club, it's a easier time for you to go out on date night or grocery shopping, wherever. I do late night grocery shopping. That's why I say that. So with school days off, we're looking at dynamic program hours and pricing. So back to the point of the cost of field trips, it, costs us $2 to go skate at Weinberg per kid. So if we were to do that as the field trip and school day off, the price would be significantly lower but if we're going to the Slime Institute, it's going up. I think it's costing us $24.99 in the spring to go to the Slime Institute.
That's where our variable cost we can have to. Going to Wilmot Tubing costs $90, but doing broom ball at Weinberg $60.
Yeah.
But it's the ability to flex also the value of going to Weinberg versus Wilmot Tubing is much different. So
Do you ever partner with like Writers Theater or like just more local so that like the cost of the bus isn't so expensive?
We are doing waterworks in spring break, so with the Schaumburg Park District, and their rental is only costing us $100. So things like that, using other park districts to find a really low cost.
Good.
And then the last thing is just because we do have a wait list when a school day off gets up to 100, and that's based on how many kids you can fit in the bus. That's where we're trying to look for the more local field trips, or hosting them here, and maybe we bring in a magician or something where it's still worth it to be a school day off and having fun, but we can accommodate more children.
The rec team's done a great job of adding alternatives. So like you have Hot Shots that does a sports activity. You want to say a Take It, where we bring a Lego vendor and do Lego activity. It's a half day program. We're trying to obviously alleviate some of the pressure on that traditional, taking 100 kids is exciting, but if we can shift a couple of them into a different program and they're still getting the benefit of care that meets both needs, some of that pressure off of this type of program.
Right, and if anybody has any other questions.
I would just really want to add is that, our timing for the construction of Weinberg, the second level, most of them weren't on the board at that point, but we made the decision to activate that upper level. We would not be able to accommodate the kids that we are right now. We would not. So it was, we looked at the trends coming forward and then we activated that upper space. So it was money well invested into that building to meet the needs of the community. So.
Yeah, the two income, we're not growing in terms of, well, I think we will once Forest Edge comes to light, but in general, we're not getting a bigger population. We're getting an aging population, but it does sound like more of the kids here have two working parents to meet the affordability of the
Right.
of the area. So
But I think it's a testament to like what we're offering is in demand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that for my 8-year-old, over the past 3 years, I want to say, so since she's been at South, the day off, hugely popular, even with parents where one of them isn't working. But it's just that
Yeah.
the offering sounds exciting, their
Yeah.
friends are going, like, and it's a great, and they have a great time, so,
And that's part of it. So
Yeah.
to your question with the greater skeeters, like we want to find things that attract people too. So going on activities is going to attract your people that maybe aren't in our kids club program, but they get a taste of school days off and like, oh, we do field trips there.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll sign up for camp now because they know they do,
Yeah.
you know, cool field trips in summer.
Yeah.
So there is some connection to those two. And almost not a loss leader, but it's certainly a.
uh-oh.
and the
That's
doing
my
the
shot.
Weinberg was so.
Oh.
I think
Oh.
it was so fun.
Yeah, it was not cheap because we had to, when we redid Weinberg, we had to go into an area that wasn't used
Mhm.
and you had to put like an elevator in
gut
there
it and,
for
like, yeah.
it. You had to have, there's no way to get ADA up
And
there.
another set of staircases.
Yeah.
But I think it was money well spent.
Yes,
I
it was
mean,
absolutely no money. And we got it, we got a nice, we have park grant for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I think Gary had mentioned about, you know, limitations on numbers. We haven't luckily had to do it yet, but if we do have the ability to leverage the rec room, you know, it may not be a dedicated space, but it could be a space for overflow. When we have, you know, an extra 20 kids on site, we could use that as another play space, you know, to really kind of take, because every 10 kids doing 5 days a week is 60 grand and, you know, in revenue that come into the program. So certainly a benefit to do that if we can, plus it serves a huge purpose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really, really incredible work.
All right.
Nice
Thanks.
job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice job.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We're gonna move from Kids Club and School Day Off, segue over to 2026 capital projects with Kyle. Can you please provide the presentation for us and answer questions as needed?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, President Covey. Good evening, everyone. So excited to be here tonight to discuss capital projects and our capital improvement plan for the upcoming fiscal year 26-27. So for tonight, gonna start with reviewing our heat sheets, which everybody should have a copy of in front of them. We'll then jump into the capital improvement plan, the 5-year CIP. And then we'll go fund by fund to review projects that were done this year and our proposed projects for the upcoming fiscal year. Just as a reminder, there's 3 major capital project funds. We have Fund 65, which is our operating capital fund, Fund 68, which is the referendum capital fund, and Fund 69, which is our traditional master plan capital fund. As always, just feel free to stop me along the way if you have any questions, comments. So heat sheets. So hopefully everyone has been familiarized with the heat sheets through the board orientation process. So really the heat sheet is the mechanism that we use to track our major assets and amenities. It's a living, breathing document that gets updated every year. It drives our capital improvement discussions. It allows the staff and the board to kind of see on a single sheet where our major amenities are in terms of their lifespan, their expected useful life, their estimated current replacement costs, and their future estimated replacement cost. So just to walk through you guys have the full sheet in front of you. Up on the screen, we just have a snippet. So you can see we categorize it by the amenity type. So there's playgrounds, athletic fields and site amenities, beach, maintenance facility, ice rink. And below there, you kind of have, for example, on playgrounds, we have each of our playground locations. We have the year that they were installed, the estimated useful life. We then have the estimated remaining life, which is based on how old the amenity is. And then we have our estimated current replacement cost and our estimated future replacement cost. That estimated future replacement cost is the current cost with a 5% compounding annual growth rate. So we can assume costs generally go up. We use 5% as that expected growth on a project's cost out into the future. Any questions on the heat sheets?
Yeah, so for the estimates, it's more formulaic. So like you don't actually base it off of a quote that you already received.
So we will use a couple different options there. It's a great question. So in some cases, we will have engineer architect estimates where they're using unit costs for projects to give us, here's your budget estimate for this project. In other cases, we'll use a comparable project that we've either done internally or a neighboring district has done. So if we know we have a playground that's X number of square feet that has these play elements, this is how much that typically costs today, and this is how much we expect it to cost in the future. And then those numbers will get refined when we get engineer estimates as we lead into bidding out a project. Okay. So then the heat sheet is really a driving force behind our 5-year capital improvement plan. It's really the heat sheet, the comprehensive master plan, the 2024 referendum, and ultimately board direction that drives this capital improvement plan. All the numbers and the projects that are on this capital improvement plan tie back to the heat sheet. This is the same capital improvement plan that was presented to the board last year and to the board in your orientations this past year. Really, the major changes that have occurred this year is that the Greenhouse, Shelton Park, and Milton Park rolled off as those projects are either complete or expected to be largely complete by the end of this fiscal year. And then since we're adding in the next future year, we'll see that Watts baseball field is now entering into that 5-year plan. So it's really meant to be a snapshot of the next 5 years as discussed with the board previously and gets adjusted annually as we move out of a current fiscal year into the next. Very similar layout to the heat sheet where we have the project, its location, current estimated cost, years away from planning, years away from construction. Then we further break it down by the planning costs, which is architect engineering services, construction cost, and contingencies, which I'll get into a little more detail about how we determine those numbers when we get deeper into the presentation, and ultimately land on our bottom dollar for both individual projects as well as the total. So just to run through sorry.
Is the way to think of it, then you take the 20.9 million, which is the total, of which 14 million was part of the referendum. So
Yes.
next few years is about 6 million.
Yes, so for the 14 million is the referendum projects, which are highlighted in yellow. That balance would be Fund 69 master plan capital projects. Right. So the projects to run through, we'll talk about them in more detail, but we have the West, OSLAD, the beach structures, the maintenance center and ball field, which is ongoing, the beach playground and spray features, Friends Playground, and the beach stairs, ramps, retaining walls, Weinberg ice rink mechanicals, and then, as I said, Watts baseball field entering into the mix. So now we'll go fund by fund, starting with Fund 65. So again, this is our operating capital fund. We like to call this our keeping the lights on fund. These are typically going to be projects that are, let's call it $10,000 to $200,000, and they're going to be vehicles, equipment, mechanicals, some modest improvements to our existing amenities, but not these major heat sheet items where we're talking, $250,000 to $5 million projects. So these are more kind of operational and modest improvements. Start by just reviewing what the Fund 65 projects were this past fiscal year. We had 2 truck replacements, actually 3 truck replacements, truck 2 and truck 6, and our garbage truck was replaced as well. We redeveloped the early childhood outdoor space, creating a more interesting area for kids to enjoy some outside time. We made community room number 2 renovations. That's the art room across the hall here. We replaced the beach cart that shuttles people up and down from the bluff. And we did the gazebo refurbishment over at Shelton Park. So you can kind of see the spread of the types of projects that we're funding out of Fund 65. We do have 2 carryover projects from this year going to next year. Takeoff Shelter, which is a shelter that's going to be where's my cursor at? Installed off the rear parking lot at Takeoff. It was really more of a timing thing with the larger construction project. It makes the most sense to install that shelter at the tail end of the larger construction project. So we'll roll those fund balances over to fund that project at the end of summer. We also have the Takeoff lighting control replacement. That's the lighting control systems for this entire building. The existing system is obsolete and no longer supported, so we've essentially lost control of scheduling and managing our lighting systems throughout the facility. That's going to require some additional engineering, and there's a timing consideration with the work impacting operations to where we have to try to align that with our August shutdown. So that's going to be rolled over as well into next fiscal year. So now we'll get into the proposed projects for the upcoming fiscal year. So kind of broke these out into different categories. First, we have parks operation improvements. We have our next truck replacement, truck number 3, which is a 2008 F-250. The truck has body rust and it has towing and hauling limitations. It has a price tag of $80,000 for that replacement. We have the recommended replacement of our Kubota loader and snow thrower. Again, approaching the end of its useful life, has operational limitations. And really the only new item to our inventory we're recommending is a tow behind lift at $50,000. This would allow us to avoid having to rent a lift to do a variety of work, whether it's holiday lights at Caulk Park, gutter repairs, but also it'll give us the ability to do some tree work that we currently have to contract out. So I think it'll be a real valuable piece of equipment to put into our inventory. Yes. The rentals are about, depending on the number of days, I believe they're about 1,500 to 2,000 a week. So, and we probably rent a lift for a couple weeks out of the year, but really the bigger payback is going to be if we can take down a tree that costs us $8,000 to have a contractor do because we don't have a lift, which we have, unfortunately, several of those a year happen. That's when we'll see a pretty good return on investment for the lift. Yeah.
And just what's the expected lifespan for useful lifespan for the tow behind lift?
The tow behind lift, we'd put it a 15-year
15 years.
lifespan, yeah. All right. So next we have the facility and admin improvements. So we have a $50,000 recommendation for IT upgrades. This is really annual replacements and improvements that are recommended by our IT consultant. We have take-if furniture and appliance improvements. This is highlighted really down in the early childhood wing, the STEAM lab, their STEAM room, installing a magnet wall, putting in a washer dryer and putting in a new sink, as well as some flooring replacements. That flooring down there is approaching 20 years old and some of it's starting to show its age and in need of replacement. And then lastly, we have some lower lobby furniture. You may recall we did upper lobby furniture a couple years back, looking to improve the lower lobby customer experience by making some more usable seating down in that area. Lastly, we have our recreation and marketing improvements. So recommending the purchase of a new 14-person Ford van. This is to help support, as Emily and Adam just kind of explained, the growth in our kids club and our camps, the ability to shuttle kids around in a more efficient manner and safe manner. We have community rooms 1, 3, and 4 recommended for improvements, like we did for community room number 2, looking to do really just kind of a refresh on these spaces, new flooring and new cabinetry. And then we have a Weinberg front patio area. So outside of the rec room, in between those 2 doors that really lead to nothing, we're proposing to install a concrete patio area that can make it a usable space. Could see that becoming more beneficial or a driver for people that are renting that space to have a adjacent outdoor area to use as part of a rental. And lastly, we had a proof of concept with a tablet installation outside of the gym this year, looking to roll that out to our community rooms up here, as well as fitness, really a more modern way of communicating what's taking place inside of each room, so people can kind of see in a single snapshot what's happening, what's coming up next, is this room available, et cetera. Any questions on any of those? Okay, so kind of to bring everything together, so here's our full list of recommended Fund 65 projects. We have a total of $529,500 of new Fund 65 projects with a carryover of $220,000. Staff feels this is kind of a good grouping, good mixture of projects that help address operational items, aging equipment, as well as some modest improvements to enhance user experience. Just for context, the previous 2-year budgets for Fund 65 were $558,000 and $587,000. So the recommended $529,000 falls in line with previous years.
The previous year's budget's inclusive of the top 2 items or no?
No, so the previous 2 years would be not including any rollover that would have happened from the previous. So.
Yeah, I mean, the only one question I had on this was the van. You've got Hillary, which does its job. It's the other, you guys have a bunch of white caravans rolling around.
Correct.
But we have
At least 2, right?
Yeah, we've 2.
Yeah.
One's for kids club and one is for special events and other
Yeah.
uses, but we do use them. They're very limited in terms of space because we don't want to be in a situation with one-on-one with children, so we have to have 2 staff members. So
Yeah.
we're very limited and we're having to make multiple trips. And then we have the requirement of under the 8 and under that they have to be in booster seats and child seats. So this bus will give us the opportunity to be more efficient, to take overflows. For example, if we have a school bus that we've ordered that fits 75 kids and we go to 80 kids in enrollment, we now can take that bus in addition rather than spending $700 on an additional school bus.
Do you keep the 2 caravans?
Yes, but they will probably be less used for summer camp. We talked about it a couple of meetings ago, but we are expanding the aftercare options for FSA, for Game On, and for Aquatics and Sailing Camp and Action Quest. So with the complexity of that operations,
Okay.
we absolutely need it.
Yeah, I don't see any of this as sort of out of the realm of normal. Look, 50,000 for IT upgrades is nothing. And we always talk about the IT upgrades and whether or not we need them or we don't. But like, think about this room and how much we hemmed and hawed over the 50,000 to put into this room and what a game changer it makes. So nothing here causes me heartache.
Nothing from a financial, like the only thing that I don't know if, I'd like to hear more, I guess, about if we really think it'd be a benefit is the Weinberg front patio area. Dollar wise, I mean, it's one of the smallest ticket items on there, so it's not necessarily a dollar concern, just, do we feel like cementing that space is actually gonna give us something? And like,
Yeah.
is it, I don't know if it'll be, I feel like it'll be maybe less attractive if we're just doing like a cement thing. And so I don't know, and do we really think there's a need for that?
Yeah, so I think speaking to the appearance of it, I will say that what's there currently is just dirt. It doesn't, nothing grows under there because there's an overhang. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's probably a good 5 to 6 foot overhang. So it doesn't get any sunlight. It's currently just kind of dirt and mud. So from an aesthetics, I think it'd probably be either a wash or an improvement. And in terms of usability, it offers that opportunity to have a usable space, but definitely open to hearing.
Yeah, I think it was
Thoughts and-
probably, so I rent that room a couple times
Yeah.
a year for hockey stuff.
Mhm.
And a lot of families do rent it for hockey stuff. Those 2 doors are primarily used to kind of bring things in and out. Because otherwise you have to go
Yep.
into the main lobby, kind of curl around and go back. It is muddy and gross if it rains. I actually wonder if this was just a little bit of a miss when we redid
That's the
Weinberg.
question I was gonna ask.
Should it just be more of like an entry rather than like doing a
Yeah, I
flat
mean,
fee thing?
it's, first of all, it's such a small amount of investment that it doesn't, to me, it's, this is a really minor item investment, but overall, like, I actually think this is probably a miss when we thought about.
We
Actually,
didn't have,
We actually did
Did we
talk
talk
about
about
it.
yeah, we didn't have the budget at the time, as I think you'll remember.
So we
Okay.
took it out. So it was proposed at that point to
Okay.
circle around to the other side. We just took it out.
We've had a lot of success. Anytime we've enhanced an area, we've noticed that people start to use it more. So this, especially with special events that we've had over there, the mud run, after school, working with the PTO events, and it will clean up that area. Right now it is, as Kyle said, a mud
So
pit.
more like a sidewalk, is that kind of the?
No, it's a
width,
little,
or-
it's wider than that. Right now, if we have like a special event out there, we have to use the front entry, which blocks people going in at these stages and things. And I personally rented that room this year, and it would have been nice in the spring, if you rented the
So
winter,
nice,
and
yeah.
the spring and the summer, it'd been nice to go out, to open up and allow people to mingle out there. So I think
Okay.
it does expand the opportunity for people who would be like, oh, it's a little small, but I can go out here and have whatever right before. So for that small investment, it really, I think it enhances the area.
And my question was more about when Weinberg was redesigned, if it was intentionally left out.
No, we wanted it, but we just had to pull it because of
It's always good to have them here because I always forget these things.
Yeah. it was discussed at that point and pulled it out because of money.
With Weinberg, did we ever get the fireplace in there and that was donated by people? Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
could
what,
sell, we could sell bricks.
what happened is that, at
Not a
Weinberg,
bad idea.
obviously what time we started designing to when it actually was built, there was huge escalation because of COVID.
Yeah.
It's finances, so we pulled some things back.
We brought in about 100,000
Yeah,
in,
in
ge-
donations,
in general
yeah.
donations from multiple individuals, and then the one large donation, as the board knows.
Yeah.
So the wine, yeah, the outdoor fireplace was a donation item.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to Fund 68 and Fund 69. Again, Fund 68 is our referendum capital project fund, so must be spent on the referendum projects, and Fund 69 are the master plan capital projects that tie back to our comprehensive master plan. A quick recap on this past fiscal year for Fund 68 and Fund 69. Out of 68, we have the maintenance center and ball field, which is in progress. The greenhouse is also in progress, and then beach structures and playground design, as the board knows, we are currently in progress with that, having given the community, having gone through the community input portion of the process. Fund 69 this year funded Milton Park Playground and the Shelton Park Racket Courts. For next fiscal year, most of this should not be any surprise because it's been discussed quite a bit, but the recommended projects for Fund 68 and 69 out of 68 would again be maintenance and ball field, completing that construction, the beach structures, beach playground and beach spray feature, finalizing that design and starting construction after the beach season this year. Out of Fund 69, we have West Park construction and then Friends Park design only. I did want to kind of side tangent on West Park and Friends Park because there hasn't probably been quite as much discussion having them not be referendum projects. West Park, just as a reminder, this project dates back to 2019 were the initial discussions. Really the core project elements that tie back to our heat sheets are the ball fields, which are well beyond their useful life, the racket courts, and ADA improvements. As part of our opportunity to receive grant funding, some additional amenities that were added in and considered to be good improvements are a small shelter, shuffleboard, bocce ball courts, some games tables, and then invasive species removals and landscape improvements along that northern border of Dundee Road. And then a walking loop. So in the Osladder Park District scope was really to do an ADA accessible path to each amenity. But in discussions with District 35, they were open to completing that or taking that from being a point to point and creating a full walking loop around the property. Additionally, we had intended to put in a couple handicap or ADA parking spots, and in some discussions with the village of Glencoe, there was interest in adding some off-street parking to help alleviate some concerns with street parking in that area. And then there were MWRD considerations. So there are stormwater restrictions related to the site, which caused some scope increase because we have to account for disturbance on this land, which the District 35 and the Park District will intend to split 50-50. Short way of explaining is that MWRD considers the entire site a continuous site. It doesn't matter if the school district and Park District have a boundary line, they consider it a continuous site. So work that the Park District has done and work that the school district have done, both count towards stormwater. Therefore, it makes sense for both organizations to split those costs 50-50. And I'll break those down in a later slide. And third time's a charm for the OSLED grant. So we got it on our third go, a $600,000 grant to help fund this project. Any questions on West? Friends Park. So I believe we did the park tour and we stopped at Friends Park and discussed some of the issues we have here. So Friends Park, it has not reached the end of its useful life per our typical life expectancy. However, there's a couple considerations that make it warranted to have a discussion about it on a more accelerated path. It is 13 years old. It's heavily used. It is our most heavily used playground. It does have a failing safety surface, so we have had to make significant repairs to that poured-in-place surfacing. The pictures are quite blurry, but basically we have these kind of potholes that are created in the safety surfacing, and every year we're having to go in there and repair it to make sure we're compliant, both from a safety standpoint and accessibility. It's high profile, it's center of town. User type considerations as we go through the design process is how is this park used? Who should we be catering to or not catering to? It's going to be, I think, a very involved community input and design process similar to the beach, which is why we want to give this entire year as a runway to have community input. So with that, referendum project costs. We have the maintenance center and ball field. So this is where I broke it down a little bit more. We have our architect engineering budget, we have our construction budget, and we have our contingency budget. Our contingency is typically going to be 10% of construction cost. That contingency, we hope to not use it, but we want to be prepared for unforeseen costs that can come up through the bidding process, construction, what lies beneath, things we don't know here today as we're budgeting. Architect engineer, we use 10% of the combined construction architect costs to determine that number. That's going to fund the design, geotech services, things of that nature, permitting. So you can see our breakdown here. I won't read every number, but we have a total budget out of Fund 68 referendum projects of 13.6 million, 1.12 of which is contingency. Any questions on the 68 breakdown? Fund 69 breakdown. So again, we have West Park and Friends Park design only. West Park with a total budget of 2.12, of which 175,000 is contingency. Friends Park, we're budgeting again just the design portion of the work this year at 90,000 for a total of 2.2. Below, we have the table that's breaking down the West Park costs. Because of all those elements or factors that are playing in. So we have our bottom line of 2.1, again, 175 of which is contingency. We have a $50,000 cost share with the Village of Glencoe, about a $60,000 cost share with District 35, again, for the stormwater as well as completing that walking loop. We have $600,000 in OSLAD grant funding, $270,000 of ADA funding. So a lot of ADA improvements here for this project. So a significant investment out of that levy. And then 1.14 coming out of our Fund 69 capital improvement budget. Questions?
Well, help me understand. Okay, of the 2.125, help me understand. The 2.125 is really effectively 1.14 out of our budget. Is that right?
But
Just
yeah.
the capital, yeah.
Out of the capital project
capital
fund.
budget.
And then 200.
ADA funds is 270, so.
So ADA funds, what exactly does that mean, ADA funds? Is that's our own ADA funds?
I'll
Or
kick
that
that
is-
to John.
So that's our Fund 30,
Okay.
often referred to as the 5/8 levy. Basically, that fund isn't subject to PTEL, so we can adjust that.
Really?
It does have a cap, which it can't go beyond 4 cents per every 100 or 10,000 it equates to. But we're not near that cap. So we that's one of the funds that we have a lot of flexibility with when we have, capital projects, things of that nature, where we are able to, and to, on the flip side, when there aren't, the significant ADA capital projects, we're able to throttle it back and we don't have to worry about, compounding,
Yeah.
all the issues that come with the normal operating
And
levies.
it has to, I imagine, anything you collect under that
Yeah, it's restricted to ADA, correct?
funds like we do with other.
Absolutely.
Not at all,
With
yeah.
ADA. Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's great.
Yep.
That's good.
And then we also have to get permission from the special rec. So we bring it for approval to NWS or NSSRA to approve it. The board approves it there
Oh, really?
to be able to use it. So that's kind of another safeguard that those funds are only used for
Yeah.
special rec.
Although I can't imagine NSSRA.
Do we have to use it by a certain amount of time? Whatever funds we have in that, like, is it like you have to use it
Well,
within 5 years?
we do ADA improvements every year, so we're always
Right,
using
so we're
those
just
funds.
using it no matter
Yeah.
what.
Mhm.
And President Covey, just a reminder, when you are looking at the net cost of the project, that $600,000 likely won't come in until fiscal 29, just given the nature of how the state
Yeah.
turns around their reimbursement.
So we'll have to fund it and then get reimbursed later, like we did
Correct.
with other, okay.
It takes a little longer than we would like.
Yep.
Which of the funds are where?
So if a particular project runs over its contingency budget, is that what you're asking? Sorry.
We were with Weinberg, like we're in Weinberg when we were over budget, where'd the money come from? Is what
It really pulls from, the unrestricted portion of fund balance within the capital project fund, within Fund 69. No,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
the ADA project?
Yeah,
What if the ADA portion was the portion that like went over?
In
budget?
theory, we could, but it wouldn't have been budgeted for in that manner. We could try to catch it up on next year's levy then. But we, you know,
it just means that next year, like, we have this 50% fund balance. Hopefully we don't dip below that.
Right.
But it would end up meaning that next year we couldn't do something that we want to do.
Or we go a little bit under our fund balance, knowing that we're gonna get the money from the state in a couple of years.
The 600,000 is different, right?
that's
But like, in a world where there's no OSLAD grant,
Right.
where we budget
Right.
$1 million, contingencies,
Right.
100 grand, and it ends up costing us 1.3, we're gonna have to find out what
We
we're
do,
gonna.
yes, we would take it from, something would have to give in the
Mhm.
following year. So that's why it's very important when we're doing projects that we don't extend our budgets by adding on to things, because it has to give way somewhere else.
The final slide is really just combining the two Fund 68 and Fund 69. So again, same breakdown across the architect, engineering, construction contingency. Total project budget for this year out of those two funds is 15.8. One of 1.3 of which is contingency. With that, happy to answer any other questions related to any of the capital projects.
I think, John, historically, we have not used our 10% contingency. I think Weinberg we did, and that was a different time, but I think historically we're pretty good.
yeah, Weinberg we did, Kyle. I don't know if you could think of any more recent ones where we did.
I mean, the greenhouse, we talked about the greenhouse having increases, kind of again, a timing thing with where we were in the design process. But I think another way to think of it is, if out of Fund 68, if we have 3 different contingency buckets for each of these projects, and one project has overruns, but the other 2 don't, they can offset each other. And that's kind of like the way that I would look at it. But no, that's probably the most recent one. Milton was under, Shelton was under. Previous fiscal years, I think we've typically been under or right at or right near budget in recent times.
But it's nice to
Weinberg
have it-
being,
It's nice to have a budget just in case.
and it doesn't get used, it gets rolled into our fund balances to help fund future projects down the line.
So there could always be unforeseen things happening.
Yes. Yep.
That's why we have a healthy, fund balance.
I'm sure
People
there
that
are
would-
some park districts that are delaying.
There are
things.
absolutely people that have to take out bridge loans and things like that. That's why we operate the way we do.
Yeah, you're not typically funding projects with property taxes, so that's more of the operating side of things for sure.
The good news is the bond is,
Right.
the referendum, we have the cash for. It's
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
So, just to give some historical context. In the past years, before, a lot of these capital projects for the next couple of years have been decided based on the referendum dollars and a lot of discussion by board and the lineup of these. In the future, you will have more discussion with the board, what gets on that list based on the heat sheet and more discussion of that. But now these last couple of years are already kind of decided based on the referendum, and the past discussion by the board. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
This looks good.
So
Yeah.
after Friends, there will be more discussions like, okay, which projects do you want to do now? Yep. You're probably like, oh, I'm getting saying.
No,
this.
I mean,
Oh,
we
sorry,
spent,
Sid.
we spent a lot of time.
We spent a lot of time.
We spent a lot of time
Yeah.
on what we want, and actually, we had consultants come in and help us with the referendum. The referendum would
Absolutely.
not have, passed, but for the fact that we had a plan on how we were gonna
Oh,
spend.
yeah,
the
our
money.
master plan. And that was a big, and hopefully everybody in this room took part in the
Actually, it makes it-
surveys and things like that, because that was all a big part of how we got to this.
Yeah.
And that's what you should do. You should have a community survey and
Yeah.
a master plan that dictates what we're doing, so there's no special interest. It's there.
So it makes it easy for us
Yeah,
right now.
it does make it
right? I
easy.
mean, like,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
hard work is.
Yep.
Has been done, so.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Kyle? I have to say that to brag about our staff, we actually developed this chart about 13 years ago now, right? 12, 13 years ago. And now this is copied by every park district that sees it.
Ah.
Literally every park district sees it. Before, it was just kind of like, oh, we have these. Now with the heat sheet, it makes it really easy for the board to understand where the life of things are, which is very important. To make educated decisions, what you're going to do before putting in new amenities, it's important to know what may fail. Many a park district have put in, say, paddle tennis, and then their pool fails. So it's important to, so kudos to our team for doing that. So, okay,
Many thanks.
right.
Okay, Kyle, thank you so much for that and really good discussions by the board as well. Lisa, let's move over to the executive director report, our year in review. It's available on the board packet.
Yep. So it's
Lengthy, which is good because
It's-
we did a lot of stuff this year.
very lengthy. So that historically in December, we do a year in review of all the things we do. So sometimes things like the capital projects kind of overshadow everything we do in the board level as we approve of different things and get community input. So there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that make us more effective and efficient to meet a lot of our goals that are in our master plan. So I'm not going to read each one because we would be here for hours, and hopefully that you took the time to read this, all the detail and see all the little things that we do to make us a better employer for our staff, better for the community, improvements in our registration. But a couple things I want to highlight is the National Gold Medal Award. And sometimes that's just like, oh, what do we have that for? That award really looks at all of our operations. It really looks at what we're doing that puts us ahead of what other park districts in the nation are doing. So you have to realize that only 5% ever get to be a finalist or win that gold medal in the whole United States. So getting to be a finalist in the National Gold Medal, and we have won it before, is something that not a lot of agencies even attempt because they're not meeting the strict requirements in the gold medal application. So kudos to our team for submitting and going through that rigorous application. If you're ever in a room with us when we're developing the gold medal answers to the questions, it's quite the I guess challenge to each other of what we're presenting, how we're writing it, what we can do better. And when I look at the gold medal, it has really challenged us to do things even better. We look at it and we're like, oh, we really could do this, and how can we do this better as we set our goals for next year? So kudos to the entire team for the gold medal finalists this year. On top of that, last January, we got the official award of the IAPD, IPRA Distinguished Accreditation. And we had a high score of 502.63 out of 500. Again, we are in the top 5%, 0.5% that get a score over 500. I've been serving on the accreditation board for 8 years. I'm a mentor and I'm also a reviewer. So I know for certainty that not many get over that 500 mark. So again, that's something where they look at everything, every policy, every personnel, and they really with the fine tooth comb. So we like to be challenged here. Our staff elected to try to go for the CAPRA accreditation. So that's a national accreditation. Again, only less than 5%, right? Probably like 1% actually goes for this CAPRA accreditation. It's definitely a team effort. So we have applied to sit for that in a year and a half. It's about a year and a half. So we're starting the process now, meeting monthly to gather all the materials they need. They look even at other things that Illinois accreditation does. It's different, and it's a more I guess more in depth as far as narrative and things like that, explaining what you do. So the cost of the district is minimal. We have to bring out, for the first time when you do it, you have to bring out the reviewers to be on site. But that's something we really brings credibility to Glencoe and to our agency. So kudos for that. Just some other things we talked about design in great length. We really went out of our way to try to figure out how we could fix our rec tract registration issue. And the last couple, I'm happy to say, have been successful. So that was something that really the business team and the rec team really dove into to figure out how we could fix this problem. And the virtual waiting room has been very successful, along with other tactics as far as separate down the registration for different days so that it's not as crowded in that waiting room. So we've been happy with that. If you don't know, well, you know, we are a DCF licensed daycare center. That's no easy feat. And so kudos to the Children's Circle team and Bobby and Molly for getting the relicensing process. So that's one of those. And I'm not going to read each one. I'm sure you read over this, but we've been just really looking at financial sustainability and transparency, environmental sustainability, our marketing communication. I mean, kudos to Erin. If you have watched our social media campaign over the last couple months, in fact, people are saying that she needs a raise. So, you know, for all the great things. So she screenshotted that and sent that to me right away, believe me. So, but no,
very
it's
funny.
been really fun and she's been really creative.
Funny.
And
I like
we have new, her part-time assistant is really up the game also. If you look around at our vehicles and our doors and soon to be this wall. But she's so efficient with her time, freed up a little time for Erin to do some of those creative things and with the help of staff. So, and would be remiss if I didn't talk about the amazing thing our recreation and facility team are doing. They just do their job so well. You kind of sometimes forget everything they're accomplishing, all the programs that we offer. So not just the standard before and after school care and Children's Circle, but everything, all the variety that we offer to the community. And we have great safety records, keeping our children safe and engaged and having fun and wanting to come to our programs. So kudos to them. So that's all in there and that's under program effectiveness. So just, it would not be possible. I always say to everybody throughout the state that I have the best team at the Glencoe Park District, includes the board. And so I think this is an example of what we do every day. And we don't even put the regular day-to-day operations. These are just achievements. So any questions?
You did not put in here the success of the survey and what people say about working here in Glencoe.
You're right. You know, I didn't.
You said you did a survey, but it was something like
Did.
94% of people would recommend it, or
You're absolutely right. You're right.
that's really, really
Sometimes I
high.
forget all these, but you're right. 94% of people
Like,
that would work.
something
I
in
think
the
we have
90s.
something about staff engagement with the. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Friday update and
Yeah.
our employee recognition team.
It says a lot.
So it says like, thank you for, yeah, I gotta write that one on there too
Yeah, write that one down. Survey results.
next year.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. And a real big thank you to, I said it at the holiday party before I had to leave. It is an absolute pleasure, I think, for me, and I can't speak for the rest of them, but I have a feeling they're going to start to hear things. We will always hear suggestions of what the park board can do better, but we rarely, at least I rarely hear what we do poorly. It is just a remarkable group of people here that are dedicated to enriching the lives of the members of the community here, and how you listen to the people, how we have something for everyone. I think is really impressive. So I think the community is grateful. We will continue, and you all, as new members of the board, you're going to run into someone who says, I wish they'd take the trash out a little bit more, or I wish the skating fees would be a little bit less, or I wish the this. But like, when you actually think about the complaints that we don't get complaints like, man, they've got no programming for me, or this teacher is terrible. Like, we don't,
They lost my kid.
right,
I
we don't,
lost him at a field trip.
we don't get those complaints. The complaints we get are ways to do incrementally better, which I think we can always, in every way, everyone can do incrementally better. And the residents will push us, but I think overall, you should be very happy with the accomplishments, and the board, and then your leadership team should be very proud of what they do in the community you develop here inside the Park District for our community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Nice. Okay. I think the next agenda, any other comments on that? We're good. I lost my cheat sheet. Okay. So the next thing is the discussion of the employee COLA. and merit increase percentage. John will provide a summary of the COLA and merit information provided in the board packet. The staff will answer any questions. It's always a fun discussion.
All right, thank you. So we are seeking consensus on a 2.9% COLA, plus a 0.5% merit pool, and this is for full-time employees. The COLA is consistent with the PTEL cap. If you recall back in November when we approved the levy, our property tax increase on existing property is at 2.9%. So it was no accident that we aligned those numbers. We did look at peer agencies and see that they're approving about 3 on the low end and very few at 3 to 4% plus total increases. The way they break it out, some are all in merit, some are all in COLA, and some are a combination. The combination approach for us does align with the open range merit system recommended in our 2025 comp plan that was presented to the board back in June. So we're consistent with what was outlined in there. And the approach here, want to make clear that it doesn't guarantee that every employee is going to receive a 2.9% increase, nor does it really cap our top performers at 3.4%. Instead, it creates a more of a flexible pool that's going to allow managers and administration to be able to allocate the increases more equitably based on the results of the annual performance reviews. And then as we look at the affordability and kind of within the framework of the budget, I know we're not totally done with the budget yet, but we have good enough preliminary numbers to be able to say that this is well within the framework and affordability of the fiscal 26-27 budget. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's a good question. So the village has certainly union contracts involved there. So there's a little more going on there. We really kind of take it, we obviously, solicit their feedback and get the input of the library. But, and our peer districts, but really want to take a look at it, then and make the decision as to what's best for us rather than just, specifically aligning with an individual agency.
Could you just explain on the chart? I just got a little confused. Did we not have COLA driven increases in 24 and 25?
That is
Good question.
correct. So the previous approach prior
Yeah.
to the adoption of the new comp plan was we just called it a merit
You
pool.
called it a merit.
Yeah.
I guess it begs the question though, at least for me, like if you're calling it a COLA, but not everyone gets it, like do you anticipate any issues with, like, if it's a cost of living increase, but it's not universally applied, like, why wouldn't someone get it based on merit?
Because their performance is less than successful. So basically, there's a threshold that if you meet the expectation of your supervisor or the district, you're going to automatically get the cost of living adjustment.
Yeah,
But for example, if your performance is less than what we expect, the goal is to get that employee to move up. So we don't think they meet
yeah.
the successful category.
I just think the communication of that's probably pretty important
Yes,
so that it doesn't read like everyone gets it.
right.
Exactly right. I mean, that's what we talked
Yeah.
about, is that how we communicate it out is
Yeah.
that. But we also want to incentivize the high performers at the
Absolutely.
same time,
Yeah,
right? And so it's very demotivating if everybody always gets that cost of living, but they know they're performing not
Yeah,
as well,
no,
not
for
showing
sure.
up on time, not being, those are some of the basic things. Other ones are going above and beyond. That's demotivating for our high performers. So we want to make sure there's a little bit.
yeah, I totally agree with your approach. Just vocabulary jumped out at me.
Any other questions? Good, then I get to hit you some questions. Historically, we have looked at other park districts. We have seen people leave our park district to go to other park districts and other competitively out there. Is there a risk? Do we still see that as risky? Do we think, as we see a lot of these park districts, the Northbrook, Highland Park, Winnetka at 4%, and Winnetka's pretty consistently at 4%.
Mhm.
Do you think that's a risk? Do you think we should be closer to a 3.75 versus, I think you're asking for 3.4. I don't want to put us at risk for optics. And we've had, Lord knows, we have had lots and lots of discussions, especially during the high inflation years of 22, 23, and 24. Lots and lots of discussions on this.
Can I take a crack at this one?
You can take a crack at it. I'm just wondering, I want to see if we'll put ourselves
Okay,
at risk.
so we always are very conservative,
Yeah,
right?
I think you guys, we've had this
Right,
discussion.
and we've had it, and the board has wanted us to be conservative, so we went with that approach this year.
Yeah.
Are we at risk? Absolutely. If we're lower than a Northbrook,
Yeah.
a Winnetka, which is considered probably operationally not as effective as the Glencoe Park District. But, you know, in the past, we've been criticized if we're not conservative. So we
Yeah.
did go with conservative approach by all means. If the board says, no, we want to be competitive with Northbrook and Winnetka, we would not be upset by that.
And historically,
And I think we can afford it, right, John?
Correct, yes.
I mean, we have gone into closed session without you and without the directors present to discuss this, have we not?
No, we have never gone to closed
We've
session. to
always
discuss it.
done this
Yes.
publicly like this.
We have, but done it publicly, correct. Mine, you've gone in closed session for, but
Yes, yours
this
we,
one, no,
yours we definitely
we
do.
cannot go in closed session. for this
yeah,
one.
I mean,
We have to.
Okay,
yeah, so-
I, and thinking of the other many conversations here, I do think you always go a little bit conservative. I think we have to be cognizant of the caliber of people that we have here. And it is not surprising this is juxtaposed with the year in review discussion that we had. If I think about what I hear from colleagues at the Winnetkas, at the Wilmettes, less so the Highland Parks, of sort of the challenges they have versus what we have, I think we need to be closer in line with market with them. I think 3.4 is what you're asking for is probably, in my opinion, a little bit too low. I'd love to hear from the board.
Doesn't it matter more where your starting point is?
Yeah, that's
too?
what I was gonna say. We're
I
missing
mean,
a pretty
percentage
important.
doesn't matter if you're making 10% more. then
Yeah.
it-
No, we're competitive with our
Okay, so
neighbor.
we're
Yeah,
par.
our salary survey was competitive with other things.
it's
We're
par, it's par.
10% higher, right?
We all,
We know, Gary.
yeah,
That's
I
very
mean,
good.
we have done this and you'll see we've done one for these folks as well. I forget, is it Corn Ferry who does it?
No, we just did one.
MGK is the
MGK.
name.
Yeah.
of the firm.
It does, but even so, you know, the grass being greener is tough. We do see people go to the village. One of our finance directors went over to the village. We do see people leaving, so.
I think the concern I have if we go too low is exactly what you brought up, which is that are we the training ground for other villages or for other public government entities? So then I start to think about the cost of onboarding, cost of hiring, the cost of not having someone. And is that, when you aggregate all of that, are we really saving that much more?
Right.
Versus being the place where we are competitive. 3.4 is slightly less than competitive, I'll be honest. And it starts to make me wonder, a couple questions. If we were to even go up to 4%, is that really going to stop people from moving? Probably not. But then I think to myself, you know, what else draws people into work for us? You know, the people, the management team, the staff, et cetera. So you want to go, so I'm kind of like babbling in the sense that I'm trying to like think through the question, but to me, that's the question.
Yeah.
At hand. Are we the training ground? If we're not the training ground, you know, does it matter then if it's 3.44? And is it optically sending the wrong signal and we're causing more headaches for ourselves than what we need to?
You know, you made all really good points. When we did our salary survey,
Yeah.
we did look at all that. At some point, we are a training ground only for some of the village employees. And so there were adjustments made in those salaries to make us more competitive. to be honest, their union would probably never be totally competitive with them. But we have raised up some of those areas. As far as the recreation management and business services, we're not quite as high as the village for our administrative team, to be honest. But other park districts, we absolutely are. We're competitive in that range. So we just did that salary survey. We know that we're compared to other park districts, and those were adjusted to make us competitive, and we are, as far as that. As far as making sure that we keep on raising that, because it's only as good as that first year, so we have to look at that. So, as far as merit, we do. And as far as benefits, we pretty much all, park district wise, offer the same benefits, through Paderma, through our programs. I think probably we have a daycare where most don't, so we offer that more than others, but other amenities are very much in line.
IMRF.
IMRF, do you have anything else?
What is the turnover rate that we're talking about this? I mean, is this really an issue that we're facing?
We don't have a huge turnover rate, since we made those adjustments.
2 or 3 years ago, we did.
We did.
Okay.
So we made adjustments to some of those salaries, to make us more competitive.
But I think in 24 and 25, we were always in market with, the park district was always in market with the other areas. So yeah, if you look at 2025, everybody was 4% or higher with the exception of Skokie in Wilmette, and Wilmette's had its fair share of, actually Wilmette, no, Skokie was 4.4.
Yeah.
Wilmette was the only one under. So last year we were the lowest with the exception of Wilmette.
And if
Tied for lowest with a
you
whole
recall,
bunch, but
if you
yeah.
recall, the board lowered it. So
Yeah.
we suggested something higher and the board lowered it at that time. So
Yeah.
went through a little more conservative attitude this year.
I think, I don't necessarily think we have to be at 4%. My kind of history here says, and if you're thinking about the discussions when we were at the 5% for a very long time, I'm channeling my inner Stephanie here, where it's like, how sustainable is 5%?
All over the place, so.
I know. We have different theories. I don't think I think 3.4 is a little bit low, given our accomplishments and given how we want to retain. But somewhere between 3 and 3.75 and 4 is probably where I would.
I think it's great. I think the difference between that amount is not going to keep someone here or not keep someone here. That's not, people aren't moving for 0.35% between
They're not.
here and somewhere else. If we're on par paying someone, I've never lost anybody in my staff
Yeah.
for that little. It's for something dramatically different in jobs or in pay. It's not for for 1,500 hours.
Yeah, I think it's the symbolic nature of, do we want to be in an area where we are not seen as competitive? So I don't think you lose people, but I also don't think you end up being attractive to people. If we're gonna go out there and it's like, oh, well, these other places are giving 4 or 5% raise every year, and we're giving 2, 3.
Right.
Where do I want to be in the long term?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the question that would be interesting along the lines of ask is, what's our vacancy rate? And like, is it hard for us when, like, say there's an opening, is it something we quickly fill? Or does it take, 6, 8, 12 months and it's impacting, service?
Yeah.
Not because people don't want to work here, but simply because of the optics of what Michael's describing.
And that definitely depends on the position. Kyle will tell you for sure that it could take quite some time to fill some of his key positions. Some of them we have honestly had better luck, just with an improved labor market. Gary, to answer your question, our staff attrition turnover rate has decreased slightly this year. We're right around 20%. Last year we were around 27%. So we did see some improvement there. A lot of improvement in Children's Circle, really, I think reflecting the investments the board has made in those full-time positions that are quite valuable positions with good health insurance and obviously a great early learning center to be associated with and working with. So, that's where we stand on turnover and the
Unfortunately, in the
ability to
private
fill 'em.
sector, this is all private. And so
Yeah.
I always think about my inner hats, like no one knows if the guy at Delta got an extra percent
Right,
or
no,
not.
I hear you.
But here it is fairly public. And, you know, it is not a high wage, these are not high wage
No.
earners. These are not, people earning 200,000-300,000 a year. So it makes a bigger difference when we do it, and it makes us
Yeah.
attractive. And quite frankly, for some of the teachers, especially the part-timers, every penny counts. And we had a serious problem in Children's Circle with full-time staff. Like after the pandemic, when hiring was rampant and unemployment, felt like we couldn't keep anybody. So I think there's a lot to consider. But in general, I do
Do you,
think.
do you have the leeway? Do you feel like you have the leeway you need for the merit base to do what you need to do to keep people? That's really what it's about.
We do, but this is a merit pool, right? And if they're doing really well, they'll probably they could end up in the 4% range, right?
For sure.
But optically, you asked the question, optically, does it make a difference? Yeah, some staff it does. If it's when they're the younger staff, I could think Bobby can speak to that directly. So-
Yeah, I think we've seen it in a couple of things. A lot of the recreation staff know what other districts are getting paid. So morale purposes,
Yeah.
Northbrook's getting 4 and we're only getting 3.75. Yes, it's a small amount, but there is that kind of,
Yeah.
that negative connotation. From my experience, teachers are expecting large raises, whether they're just or not. When we gave 4 and 5% raises, the feeling was should have got 10% raises. So, which is hard to justify that, but there is an expectation that because we're coming from an environment where minimum wage was going up by 8 to 10% a year for the last 6 or 7 years, that has become the new norm. So it is a bit of an adjustment to go back down to 3s and 4s from those
Yep.
high.
But if everyone is around 3s, 4s, again, it's public information.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's in the packet. I mean, Glenview's at 3.5, Northbrook's at 4, Highland Park's at 4, Park Ridge is at 4, Skokie's at 4. Wilmette is at 3 consistently. Winnebago's at 4, NSSRA is at 4. So, yeah. Yeah.
What do you want
Is let me ask you, okay, is a floor of 3.75 acceptable? Do there are folks here that want to go lower than 3.75?
I'm okay with 0.75. I really like the model that you have, where there are set expectations, and if those are not being met,
Yeah.
then that person, I think that's important to have, and
Usually.
with that, I'm comfortable going higher. And I really also love that merit. I love that you've got that above and
Yeah.
beyond too. So I really like your system right now. I'm fine with the 3.
Well, that's kind of a floor. Does
Yeah.
anyone here think that we should do the 4%? Do we want to be in line with the Northbrooks, the Highland Parks? Now, keep in mind,
What cost difference?
it's about 18,000. It's for a 0.25%, you're talking $12,000. No, less than that. You're talking $9,250.
For what? I'm sorry.
To go from 3.75 to 4 is a difference of about 10 grand in
For
terms of
the
overall
park
salary.
district?
Overall,
For-
everything?
Everything.
For everything.
I'm fine with 4.
I would-
I'm fine
with
because I feel
4.
like you rattled off so many 4s.
Why are we having this discussion? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, look,
I don't mean it, I meant that as a joke. I mean,
it is, well,
Yeah.
because there's some, there is some positioning here. We were always kind of in the 3s. Inflation came,
Going back.
COVID came, and we had to go to the 5s. And we knew that 5s was not sustainable. So you've seen us come down from 5
Mhm.
to 4.5 to 4. Now, we are in the middle of a discussion in the public arena about affordability. It is certainly hot and heavy. Whether or not it is accurate is sort of irrelevant, because perception matters. And for a staff that we have, the perception matters.
So my point when saying I have a discussion, I think the 4% is a no-brainer. It's called a day.
Yes.
It's fine.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
So
Not like,
follow-
that's what I mean.
I'm happy
Like,
to-
this
okay.
is,
Do we have consensus on 4%?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Then
Thank
that's where
you.
we shall end up.
That is awesome. So
Seriously.
we'll figure out how that mixes between meets expectation. We'll handle all that
Yes,
with the
you
management.
guys can.
The
figure
pool's
out-
4%.
The
Okay,
pool is 4%.
thank you.
I've had it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
no problem. Nothing was pulled from consent agenda item, so,
Never mind.
Lisa, do we have any other business?
We have no other business.
And there's no reason to enter into closed session, and I recommend, and I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Second.